background. So in 1975, I was a Bombay devotee, which was a really, really wonderful experience in my life because Srila Prabhupada was always flying into Bombay and flying out. So we got a lot of association with Srila Prabhupada. We'd go to the airport to meet him, and when he left, of course, we'd be very sad. And we'd stand on the roof waiting until Prabhupada's airplane had disappeared and all the chemtrails had disappeared, and we thought we were like the gopis watching the dust from Akura's chariot. It was a wonderful time. So when the temple opened, the whole of Bombay, when Vrindavan temple opened, the whole of Bombay came on a bogie. A bogie is a train compartment. The whole temple was there, except for a few that stayed behind to look after Radharasa Bihari. And we arrived and we stayed at Fogal Ashram. And then obviously we had the most incredible festival. All I can say is that watching Srila Prabhupada do that arti and feeling all those flower petals under your feet was one of the most incredible experiences of my life. So all glories to Srila Prabhupada. So as luck would have it, the 1976 festival, I had to stay behind in Bombay and help look after Radharasa Bihari. So in those days, you'd get to go after, and they'd give you 200 rupees for a second-class 3-tier train on your own to come. And then the Vrindavan temple had to give you the money to get back to Bombay. It was a strange system. So I came, and then when Gopal Krishna Maharaj, who was he was a householder then, he was at All India GBC, and he very kindly, he saw me there and he said, "You have to stay here," because there were lots of young children, and professionally, I'm a teacher, I work with children. So I got to stay in Vrindavan, which is like really a dream come true. To live in Vrindavan is a dream come true. So after the whole looking after the children stopped, I helped Dhananjaya in the Makut business. And Prabhupada had instructed that Vrindavan should produce all the deity paraphernalia, and Mayapur should produce the devotee paraphernalia, and in that way you keep the money within the society. So actually we made the crowns, the outfits, and there's even deities that Srila Prabhupada had made via an artist. His name was Sri Padam, I can't remember his name, it'll come to me later. So he actually made like Gauni Thai, this size, for distribution within our movement. I actually have a set. My husband uses them for his Food for Life. So I have brought with me to show you, I don't know if the camera can catch it or something, I brought with you part of Krishna and Balaram's Abhishek outfit. So today they were inspired by the outfit, but they had very poor photographs, and people knew I had the outfit, but it didn't connect. So I brought to show you some of the original outfit, which I'm hoping the temple here can sort out a way to display it so I can give it to them. So I haven't brought all of it, I've just brought some of it. I don't have all of it, but I have quite a bit of it. I bought it, they sold it. Luckily I had money. So, this is Radharani's veil. I'll stand up so you can see it. hope the camera's got a close-up. It's really, really wonderful work because it's all sequin work, and sequin work takes more work, more time, but less money because the jari, of course, was very expensive. So actually, I learnt the art under Prabhupada's instructions. I learnt the art of making crowns, making the outfits. I haven't really done it much since I've left India, but I do know how to do it, kind of. And let me show you Krishna of Krishna and Balaram's dhoti, because it's got cows on. Now, it was made in chiffon, which is a delicate cloth. It's delicate, it flows. So it couldn't really support the weight of the work on it. So this one's somewhat ripped, but I'll show you that if you can see. If not, maybe we can look at it later. Someone they have embroidered on them which deity it belongs to. So Balaram's dhoti was blue, if I remember correctly, and Krishna's was red, and they looked so beautiful. So I did write a few notes of things that people who were here at that time hadn't mentioned. If you want to hear all my stories, they are on, I haven't listened to them, but they are on the internet. They're even in Russian, because I was in Ukraine and they were translating into Russian. So they are there somewhere. I wanted to complete Shrutakirti's story this morning about the snake and how upset Srila Prabhupada was. So the next day, when Prabhupada gave the Bhagavatam class, it was like something I'd never seen or experienced before. It was like, someone's like shooting fireballs down the temple and you're kind of dodging them. Prabhupada was that upset. It was actually quite scary. And I know my god sisters who were with me in that class, we still talk about it and we still say, woo, because Prabhupada was so upset. And what he said was, I remember practically, I'm sure it's verbatim, Prabhupada said, just like a chaste wife doesn't go to another husband, the chaste devotee does not go to another spiritual master. He might have said guru. So that was a really big lesson for anyone who was in there. It was more than the words, it was the atmosphere and the, I was dodging, it was really a serious class. I've never seen Prabhupada like that before. And I've seen Prabhupada in many moods, happy, joking, sad even, but to see Prabhupada angry like that was a very serious, spiritual, if you like, wake-up call. So I've just jotted down some things no one's mentioned who lived there in those days. So I've always found Srila Prabhupada very inclusive. Prabhupada built a house for the whole world to live. And I saw when the Gurukul was opened, it was a big fanfare, Prabhupada walks around. I didn't walk around with him, but someone who walked around with him, I was waiting outside. And they said that Srila Prabhupada said, ISKCON, FISKCON, bring them in. So Srila Prabhupada wanted our schools for anyone who wanted to go. It wasn't an exclusive thing. And I think that's one of the wonderful things about Srila Prabhupada, how inclusive he is. Krishna consciousness is for everyone. Jai Srila Prabhupada. Oh, one interesting thing once. The guest house, as you all know, so originally, the reception to the guest house was kind of over in an office away from the stairs. So actually it was quite practical. Someone, I don't know who, decided that the reception should be moved to the stairs. Of course, it's in a different place now. And there was this whole hype about the reception moving, and they made a nice reception by the stairs. And Prabhupada came, and he didn't like that they'd moved the reception. And he said that you Westerners are always changing things. So I don't think Prabhupada was a great fan of things changing. Gnanava touched on his marriage. So there was one instruction Srila Prabhupada gave when I got married. Now that was a complete disaster, but we won't go there. He said, I have no objection to marriage, but they should not become a burden to the society. So that's a good one. But it's also kind of prophetic, because the person who married, and I said a complete disaster, actually ended up owing the society $40,000 in back rent for an apartment in LA. So actually I think Prabhupada knew that. I think Prabhupada was telling him, don't become a burden. So in my mind, Prabhupada knew everything. I'm getting from Shruta. So there's one other story I wanted to tell, just because it's very touching. I'm not sure, it might have been Bombay and not here, but Prabhupada was preaching in Mauritius, and he had a car crash. And apparently he said he could see the car coming. And he said, although I don't know if Prabhupada did, because what Prabhupada said, we were all in his room with Prabhupada. I think it was Bombay, but I'm not sure. I have to check dates. And Prabhupada, he rolled up his dhoti up to his knee, and he showed us this swollen knee. And it was, I mean, I could, putting the tears away. And he said, Krishna saved me. He said, just before the impact, I took my stick and I put it like this. Imagine a stick, so the weight of the body is on the stick. And he said, Prabhupada said, Krishna saved me. So I tell this story because I want us to really, I'm preaching to myself here, don't take it the wrong way, really understand that actually Prabhupada, he walked through fire for us. It's just what Prabhupada did for us. He saved us. And haven't we all had a wonderful time this week? Hasn't it just been fabulous? It's just been like, wow. I know one time, this is actually at the Manor, we had one of those flower cascading Pushpanjalis. And afterwards I thought, wow, this is what it must be like in the spiritual world. This is what we'll be doing. And hasn't this week must be what it's going to be like when we all go back to Godhead. We'll be doing Pushpanjalis, we'll be having boat festivals. And Prabhupada has given us this, to quote, the window into the spiritual world. He's given us this opportunity to taste what it will be like when if we, please Prabhupada, go back to Godhead. And isn't it going to be wonderful? And aren't we the luckiest people that we've had this opportunity to serve Srila Prabhupada? We are the luckiest people ever. So all glories to Srila Prabhupada.